We'd like to start out by thanking our valuable sponsors. Sense of Satisfaction by Cricket is the place for all your fragrance needs. Plus, she's got products to heal what ails your skin and your hair. Shop at scentsbycricket.com. Special thanks to our valued sponsor, John Travis, a financial coach and certified Kingdom advisor with Richard Young Associates, a registered investment advisor. Thanks goes to Anna Patterson, my sister in the Lord who faithfully gives to this ministry every month. And to our newest sponsor, LaToya Gerard of Preach the Word Worldwide Network. She is a valued sponsor and a major encourager regarding this ministry. We need and would love to have you as a sponsor. Absolutely no gift is too small. Please note the info regarding giving throughout and at the end of the show, and help us spread these testimonies around the world. Please note that the views and opinions expressed on this show are not necessarily the viewpoints of our sponsors. It's time to hear the story, make the connection, learn the lesson, and gain the wisdom. Are you ready? Let's get charged and be changed. The Sister Speak Brother Break Show. Conversations on grace, healing, and deliverance. This is Marcy Bush. Come on, let's journey together.
But I get it now. Yeah. There was no conversation then.
Yeah, there was no conversation, and I
respect that.
And the people that I recently, I even went back and apologized to Grandma and Granddad about that, because I'm making sure I love on them and spend as much time with them nowadays, just because, you know, knowing that they're not always going to be around.
Right.
And I don't want to live in, you know, a world where I wish I had spent more time.
Right.
Or I wish I had done this for them. So I go by there occasionally and I sit and I just talk with them, which has been, honestly, I don't know if I get more out of it than they do, because I see them. You always see them as this mythical thing as grandparents.
Right.
I've come to know them as people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now, granted, working for Granddad, you know, that's totally different.
It's a different world.
It's a whole different world. So all those years of working with him, I got to know him, but it was in a way I didn't want to get to know him.
Right.
But
hey boy.
Right. But even like now, just talking with him, and if you want the truth, me and Grandma probably talk more than anything.
Right.
And just, she is funny, and she is just one, and she's always been pleasant to be around, but just the biggest thing is her sense of humor that she has.
Right.
I've come to appreciate.
Yes.
And we had some great conversations. And I went and I don't even know if they even realized it or noticed it, but I apologized to them for the times when I wasn't there. And I told them it was because I couldn't deal with it.
Right.
You know, just being in the house and Mama not coming here and Mama not being there, I couldn't deal with it.
Right.
So I ran.
Right.
And I wanted to do that because I felt the need to apologize to them, because you know how they are when it comes to family.
Yeah.
They want the family around all day, 24/7. It don't matter if it's a holiday, if it's an occasion. They want everybody over there whenever they can get them over there.
Yeah.
And so I felt like I slighted them in that. And that was, I guess, part of my healing was I needed to apologize to them, because I felt like I was wrong in that, even though that was how I had to deal with it.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, thankfully, you know, I wasn't depressed or anything. It was just something that was just difficult to live through at the time. So.
And we could not, like I said, I know for me, I couldn't imagine it, because I got my mama and my daddy. When I walk in the house, I know I'm going to see them. Yeah. I know. So I get it. I understand after, you know, after Jessica had said it, now that we're talking, I get it. I get, because Jessica wasn't come, like she was in Nashville. It's like, yeah. So I get it, but I didn't until y'all said it. So I feel like that'll help somebody else as well.
Yeah.
That'll help, not, like I said, not just in our family, but in other families, to kind of know how to navigate grief and allow people the space and the grace to do it the way they need to do it, because we're all built differently.
Yeah.
You and Takia, I guess, made it was like a safe place. Not to say it was comfortable, but it was safe. Like you said, your brother. I mean, y'all were it, and then even like you say, your dad came for a while.
Yeah.
And stayed there. And those are the things that a lot of times can make or break a relationship.
Yeah.
When you start inserting other folks, you know, but from what I remember you saying, like at some point you had to say, okay, Dad.
Yeah. I mean, not jumping too far ahead, but yeah, I had one thing I do is I try to maintain my peace, and that's just how I have to operate, because I'm an optimistic person. You know, I try to remain upbeat, and I'm not gonna, especially my family, I'm not gonna jeopardize my family, you know, to help a situation. You know, me and my daddy, we had our issues in our relationship. It is what it was. And when he lived with us, it got to a point where I was just like, all right, look, I got this going on. I think, I'm trying to think, was KJ? I think KJ was already born. I can't remember. One of my kids was pregnant with one of them. And I told him, I was like, look, I think that's what it was. Yeah, we first found out she was pregnant with Carter. And I had a conversation with my dad, and he was living with us, and I was like, and one thing I noticed was it was starting to affect me with him living with us and our everyday life, because I noticed, you know, when we come home, we get in a comfortable mode. And I noticed, you know, my dad being there, just out of respect, I could tell Kia wasn't as comfortable as she would be. And I hate that she wasn't comfortable in her own home. And I'm not putting that on her. It was mainly me, because just having my dad there was putting me in a mood. Because I had moved out, I'm on my own, I got my own life, and I put all that behind me. But now it's right here in my face every single day. And I'd come home, and I just, this switch would flip, and I'd get in this mood. And I'm annoyed, and I'm aggravated, and it's affecting how I move through the house. Because one thing kids told me, and I kind of affect the mood of the house. So if I'm not in a good mood, nobody tends to be. Because
you are the man of the house.
People can kind of feel it. And so I didn't realize that. And so I'd be in this mood, and I didn't like that. And so I had to have a hard conversation with him. It was like, look, at the end of this month, like, you got to go. I'll help you find a place or something like that. But, you know, I got another kid on the way. I need my extra room. And then plus for this reason, you know, so it's just some things I'm going to do to protect my own peace. And because it's not fair to them. It's not fair to my wife. It's not fair to her. And so, you know, and even through all of that, she never came to me and was like, why is this? Why is that? Badgering me about this or that. She's been there supportive the whole time. And she's not, and y'all know it, she's not a quiet, non-vocal person. If she got something to say, she's gonna say it. She's gonna speak her mind. But she's never done that. In all of my family issues and things that I've had to deal with, she's never badgered me about anything and complained. If she did have an issue, she kept it to herself, and to this day she's never told me about it. You know, so I genuinely thank God for her, just being able to just deal with all of the baggage that the baggage that came with me in an instant. You know, right before we got married, and then just dealing with me and it for you know, all the years that we've had to deal with it.
So now, how old is your oldest?
He's 10.
Okay, so he's 10. You've been married?
2023 made 13 years we were married.
Okay. And so y'all got married in then what year?
2010.
Okay, y'all got married. So Beck passed away 2009.
Yeah, she passed away November 2009. We got married April 2010.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And so then you shifted into those roles where you took the weight of the family, and then y'all find out you're pregnant with KJ.
Yeah.
And how did being a father for real change your life?
You know what? That didn't, outside of the normal things that a kid does, because they kind of take over your whole life. As far as me changing as a person or a man and becoming a father, I didn't change much because I've been prepping myself for that for years.
Okay.
And I don't know if it's because of what I didn't get as a kid, and I what I didn't get as a child, I wanted to give to my own kids. So I always wanted to be married. I always wanted to have kids because I love kids, and I wanted my own kids. God didn't bless me with one, but I really wanted a little girl.
Okay.
Because I saw because especially with my wife, she's a daddy's girl, and the things I saw with her and the things that I didn't see my sisters get the majority of their life,
right,
I wanted to be able to give that to my own little girl.
Right.
But God blessed me with 2 boys.
Yes.
But and I still
I encourage you. If there's a little girl, if there's somebody in your scope.
I encourage you to have another one. I'm about to say, Marcy.
Well, now.
No, we done. We are done. No. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, that's funny. But, I was going to say, if you see, a little girl who's missing that father figure, because it makes all the difference in the world. For me being a teacher, and just seeing little girls searching for a father's approval, and they end up choosing wrong so many times. And so if there's somebody in the family, in the community, wherever, and you see, you know what, she need a daddy.
I will say,
not that you can be the daddy, but you can be that figure.
I do have, I've got 2 little cousins. They're teenagers now, but ever since they were babies, I've loved on them as much as I could. And then I actually have a goddaughter now, my niece, because my sister-in-law knew how bad I wanted a little girl. She named me the Godfather because she knew I wanted a little girl, and she had one. So I pour as much love as I can into them. Yes. And don't get me wrong, they get it. They have their fathers and grandfathers or uncles or whoever. But when I'm around them, I try to pour as much love into them as I can, just because that's just what's in me. Right. It's a certain kind of love you can give to a little girl that you can't give to 2 boys. And I do love on my boys. I don't want anybody to think that I feel like I'm too manly. That I love on my boys, but it's a different type of love.
It is.
So I am able to release that love, in some shape or form. So
good. So when KJ came in, like you said, you had been planning for that, and they take over the whole world. Everything changes, and so you were able to just begin to form him. I guess, because you say he's 10 now. So him growing up, there weren't a lot of physical things like illness or anything like that. Yeah. And then KJ, and then Carter. So even the thing around, and we did do, I would have to go back to see what episode, but we did do a show with Takia.
Yeah.
And so tell us about, as y'all found out about Carter, about her pregnancy with Carter.
So with Carter, and like I said, if you want all the details, I'm terrible about.
No, you just give me your view.
I miss so many things. So Kia's story, she can explain it better than I can. But I know for us, when we found out about his condition and having spina bifida, it was a little frightening at first because we didn't know what to expect. So of course, the first thing you do is you start trying to read up on it. That's the last thing they tell you to do.
Right.
But we start reading up on it and finding out what it is, how it affects people. And, it came to a point where we were just like, okay, we need to stop. All right. We've got all these months ahead of us before he's due. Let's just not try to worry ourselves. And then just we'll approach it as as the time comes, we'll approach it and we'll handle it at the time. And like I said, at first it was scary, but we've dealt with it, you know, in a good way. Thankfully, Carter, he's progressed, and God has blessed him with the way that he is now. Like, unless I told you something was wrong with him, you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know. But the thing, and we've been through some things with him, and some of it's been a little scary, but I mean, just I wouldn't change the journey, because it's just made us better people. It showed me something that I never thought that I could deal with. I can deal with this. You know what I'm saying? And just seeing the strength, and he's inspiring to me because of the strength that he has. Right. And just the way that he goes about life, like he approaches life, like he knows he has a condition. The things that are in his body, he knows what's in there. He knows what it does. Okay. But he doesn't let it stop him from anything. He's right behind his brother, 100%. When I see him trying to jump off the couch or flip off the couch, I got to stop him, because, you know, any kind of head trauma because of what he has to deal with can be detrimental. That's the only thing I stop him in. But anything else, I don't stop him from doing anything. You know, I don't want him to feel like he's at a disadvantage. Right. So it's a different journey from KJ's journey, but it's definitely, you know, it's not any more special than ours with KJ. Yes. Because KJ was our first child. He's the one who made us parents. Yes. You know, so it's definitely it's been a journey, but it's been a good one, and we're still living it. I mean, we're still living it. We don't know, you know, further down the road what's going to happen, you know, but we're staying diligent about things. We stay on top of things, and we're still trusting God, and God's brought us this far, and progressed us this much when it comes to Carter. So we're just always just keeping a positive outlook, and we approach things as they come up.
It is a blessing, and it makes you check. Put it like this: it makes me check myself for when I think I have limitations. Like, what limitations? You know, if you allow, because I know I heard y'all say, like, somebody was like, who gonna tell Carter he got spinal bifida? Like, you know, and it shows that if you approach it the right way, I think anytime you approach a thing, just like, you know, you cannot have enough as a parent. Some parents let the feeling of not having enough stop them, and they feel like they gotta explain to the kid. No, they're gonna go off your vibe.
Right, exactly, yeah.
Whatever you, if y'all, we get ready to do such a, make it a game, make it a, you know, and so the way y'all keep rolling, he's like, okay, well, this is how we rolling. Yeah, yeah. Now, what's his and Carter and KJ's dynamic? What is it like with them two being brothers?
Typical boys. They play together. When they play together, it's rough. It's wrestling, it's fighting, it's playing soccer, it's throwing the football. So it's a lot of, hey, sit down. Hey, stop making all that noise. Hey, y'all chill out. There's a lot of that. Because Carter's right behind KJ. Everything he does, everything KJ does, Carter wants to do it too. So it's a lot of that. And they get along really well. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes, you know, KJ wants his own time, because there's a 6-year difference between them. So KJ he have his friends in the neighborhood that he goes outside and he plays with, and then Carter's like, well, I want to go. Like, no, Carter, you can't go. You know, it's like, well, why KJ get to go? So, you know, you do have those things, but I try to give them their you know, especially with KJ, I try to give him his own time, and at the same time, I try to also, as a father, I try to give them their own time with me as well. That's good. So, you know, me and KJ will go to a football game or a Panthers game, or, you know, some sporting event or something, and we do stuff, because I want them to know that even though y'all are here, I still love y'all individually. I don't love either one of y'all any more than I love the other one. So I try to, I'm intentional about, you know, making sure that they know that.
Right.
That I'm not doing one, because it can be seen that we do more for Carter because, you know, he requires some more attention sometimes.
Right.
And so I always want to remind KJ that, like, look, you're independent.
Yeah.
You can do these things on your own, because it was a spell where it went, well, y'all do this for Carter. Like, KJ, we did the same things for you. Or we don't do it now because you're this age.
Right.
You don't need anybody to do it.
Right.
You know, so I definitely remind them of that, especially KJ, that just because you're older and we do more for your brother, it's because he needs it.
Right.
He's 4.
Right.
You know, you're 10. You can do a whole lot on your own, and we expect you to gain that independence. You're gonna want that independence.
Right.
So and at the same time, I'm winging it because I get it wrong a lot. I'm winging this thing. I'm probably more candid with my kids than I should be, because I tell them all the time that, like, look, man, I don't know what I'm doing out here. I tell them, like, look, man, just roll with me, man. I'm winging this thing every day. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm winging it every day. I'm doing my best. So and I'm gonna get it wrong sometimes.
Right. But the vulnerability, I believe that matters, because they need. When you don't see an adult saying, I mess up too.
Yeah.
You know, that makes you not want to tell them about your mess ups. Right. But when you can be honest and be like, all right.
Yeah, I'm honest with them. And even, I never got this growing up, but even with them, if I come at them and I'm pissed and I yell, you know, in the moment, your reaction, it can be pretty harsh. After I calm down, most times I'll come back and I will apologize. Right. Because, you know, that was your initial reaction. Yes. I apologized to him, like, look, I messed up. I was wrong. This is why I got upset. You know, so I do apologize to my kids. And I mainly do that because I want them to see that nobody's above having to apologize.
That's right.
There's nothing wrong with owning up to your mistakes and owning up to when you're wrong. Because that's how I approach life. You know, I tell people I don't have it all together. Right. I mess up all the time. I'm not perfect. You know what I'm saying? And I don't try to portray that in any way. Right. And so I want them to see that when you do mess up, just own up to your mistakes, apologize if you offended somebody, and then just move on. I mean, that's part of growing up and being a young man, but also part of being a good person. Yes. 12 years
to the day.
Yeah.
The very date that your mom passed. Unexpectedly.
Right.
Your dad passed.
Yeah.
Did you have any inkling? Well, I say unexpectedly, but like, did you have any inkling that because what was it called that he had? Because it was not just diabetes; it was something disease.
So he had diabetes, and his I don't know if his kidneys were failing.
Okay.
And we had been to multiple appointments and things, and they were wanting him to go on dialysis, and down the road they were talking about kidney transplants and things like that. And he didn't want, and I think my siblings can probably say, I don't think he wanted to go through any of that stuff.
Right.
He didn't want to, because we had conversations with him about taking care of himself and, you know, just doing things that he needs to do, eating right. And he did not want to have to go through any dialysis. Right. He didn't want to go through kidney transplants. He did not want to have to tackle any of that stuff. So I'm not saying he necessarily gave up, but at the same token, he didn't want to live that part of his journey.
Right.
And he didn't want that to be a part of the journey. He didn't want to have to go through that. It was unexpected because we were just with him the day before Thanksgiving. We were just with him, and then there was nothing wrong.
Right.
You know,
not that we knew at all.
There was nothing wrong. We were just with him, and 2 days later, that's when we found out he had passed, and like it's difficult to talk about only because of the relationship that I had, and I'm only speaking for myself. The relationship that I had with him, I loved him, but I had to deal with him in spurts. You know, I couldn't be around him all the time. I didn't talk to him every day. I didn't talk to him every week. But I would check on him. You know, if he had an appointment, if I needed to take him to his appointment, I took him to his appointments.
Right.
You know, if I needed to help him out, you know, with other things, I helped him out. And, you know, it's just how it was. And so it got to be a point where there were times where he wasn't taking care of himself and he had episodes and things like that. And during those times, it wasn't, for me, it wasn't concern, it was more frustration. Because, you know, I felt like if you took better care of yourself, if you did this, if you did that, you know, these things could be avoided. But, and it's at the time when he first passed, you know, I was okay. You know, it was, and I felt bad as a person because it was like, you know, part of it was like, man, my dad's, you know, gone. But excuse me. But at the same time, it was like a burden. And I hate to say that, but it was like a burden was off of me, you know, because it was just so much that I had to pour myself into him to try to make sure he was okay.
Right.
And so and I hate that it's that way, and that's how I felt, but it was. That's where it was. It was sadness, but at the same time, it was like relief because, okay, this is something else that I don't have to deal with.
Right.
You know, because it was so frustrating when we had to deal with other things because he didn't do the things that he needed to do to be healthy or treat, you know, himself with the treatments that he needed or the medicine that he needed.
Right. So, and I think with what you're saying too, it's not that, oh, I'm glad he gone. It wasn't that,
no,
but I know, but it's like, because it was to the point like, do you want to live?
Yeah, we literally asked him that. We like the four of us, and I think you might even be in there. We talked with him and we asked him like, Daddy, do you want to fight? Because we don't want to fight, and you don't want to fight. We don't want to put more effort into this.
Thanks so much for joining us today. If you've been blessed by today's show, feel free to let us know. And if you'd like to sow into this ministry, become a sponsor, or contact us, you can reach us at 803-221-0169. Or you can email us at the ssbbshow@gmail.com. Let's continue this journey together. We need and would love to have you as a sponsor. Absolutely no gift is too small. Please note the info regarding giving and help us spread these testimonies around the world.